In this series of tutorials, I want to look at some of the Max for Live devices that you might have missed the first time around. The one in particular that I want to look at today is a software audio effect called Color. Essentially, what Color is it's a audio effect that kind of emulates old tape machines and the characteristic sounds that they apply or can apply to your sound. So if you run your sound through an old tape machine, you get a lot of hiss and you get natural EQ and compression. You can get a bit of flutter and pitch. You can get loads of different types of sounds and characteristics added to your sound that isn't there. You can add a wee bit of distortion and so on, and it's fantastic. Some of the sounds that you can get from this is really, really interesting. Now, essentially what I want to do is I want to talk you through where you can find this, and also want to give you an idea what tape sound is like. You know, I collect a lot of tape machines, so this is a handheld one. This is a Sanyo Talkbook.
CompuTalker brings truly high-quality speech out to the microcomputer world. All the music and speech at the beginning of this tape was produced by the CompuTalker Model CT1 speech synthesizer.
Right, so that's really lo-fi. You can get like a wee external mic and plug it in there. You can hear like the mechanical noise of the recorder. If you don't want that, you can put an external mic in and use that to record your sounds. But great for like putting drums through or something like that and taking it out the other end and bringing it back into Ableton, and you're getting all this natural kind of grit from the tape. So there's different types of tapes, different types of machines, and each machine and each tape will give you a slightly different sound. Like I'll give you an example here. I brought this old 4-track tape recorder out. It doesn't work at the minute, but I'd love to get it working because it sounds great. So you can record in 4 different sounds and change the pitch of each sound. So you can kind of make it pretty much like a basic instrument and get very, very musical with it. I have a few other tape recorders as well, and they're all brilliant when they work. That's the thing, though, they don't always work. They can cost quite a lot of money too. I have a tape echo here, and I think that's costing about £700. And all it is a tape echo, delay unit with a reverb tank. But sounds great, it really does. But yeah, still quite a lot of money. So what I want to do is I want to show you basically an audio effect that you can find within Ableton, and I'm going to just pop over here and have a look at the Ableton website. Now this is free. I'm not trying to sell you anything here. This is the Stray Cats collection by Max for Cats, so you can download this here if you don't have it already. If you do have it, you'll find it. I'll show you here now exactly where you'll find it within Ableton. So you'll find it within your packs, and then down for Stray Cats collection, and then down to audio effects and color. So basically what color is it's an audio effect, and it emulates the noise and characteristics that tape machines can add to your sound. Now I can add a number of different sounds, and it's good for basically using on an individual channel for drums or for bass or melody. You can practically use it in anything. You can also use it as a mixing tool, so you can have it on your master if you want as well. That'll glue your sounds together. So what I would suggest is you experiment with it and see what works for you. What I want to do is just literally play a few different tracks here that I'll open up, and we can try it, with and without the color added to it, and then I'm going to go through I'm actually going to go through what every single function does, and then you can decide which parts work for you. But I guarantee if you're into lo-fi, house music, techno, anything a wee bit rough and rugged around the edges, you're going to enjoy this, and it's going to be a good tool to add to your arsenal. So let's try it and see. So this is without the effect. I'm going to add it. Completely changes the sound. Now, I'm going to take it off again. So what I want to do is I'm going to actually load up another track here as well. I'm going to bunch in and out of a few different tracks just so you can hear it in a few different environments. So let's try this one. Don't save. Okay, so and what I'll do is I'll actually show you now where color is. So on this website here, this Ableton website, once you download this, you just double click on the file that you have in your downloads, and it'll automatically load it into Ableton for you. So it's very, very simple and straightforward. So now let's try some of this. Okay, so this is a nice kind of down-tempo track, yeah? So maybe what I want to do is I want to just kind of pull some of these sounds together. Well, let's go to Packs, Stray Cats, Collection, and then Color. And this is going into the master. No, this is a wee bit too much for my liking. So I'm going to adjust this a wee bit now. I'm going to take the rate down and the flutter. And the vinyl noise I'm going to change. Add a wee bit of drive and distortion. Increase the highs, add a wee bit more brightness. Bit of age to the sound, bit of tone characteristics. Now I'm going to go through all this in a wee second. It's weird the difference that makes. So this is mono and stereo. I like both, it just depends on what you're after, really. Okay, let's take it off. Okay, big difference. So, what are we doing? What's going on here? Where's the magic coming from? It's coming from a number of places, to be honest. I'm going to just knock this off for a wee second because it doesn't shut up. So, excuse me. So again, this effect is good for pulling sounds together, tightening them up, pitch fluctuations, tape-like color and characteristics to be added to your sound. So the vinyl section here is different types of noise that you would normally associate with either listening to or playing a vinyl. You know, like before vinyl, you know, before the track starts on a piece of vinyl, this is the type of sound that you get. This is a bit of a staticky or dusty record. Again, just before the record kicks in, but the needles are on the record. So you get 11 different ones here, and you can basically see which one suits you best. Below that then you have, well, there's 11 different options here to pick from vinyl noises, just to make sure that you're aware of that. Vinyl, this is the amount of that noise that you want to basically add to your sound. So it's like it's nearly like a mixer function. So you mix the level of the vinyl noise to the level of your track, and you find a blend that suits you. Next then we have tone. Essentially what tone does is it adjusts the pitch of the vinyl noise. So let's take that noise up. So you can literally adjust the pitch of that noise so it kind of flows along with your track. Sometimes you don't need to, but it's there just in case. So next then we have hiss. So hiss is exactly what it sounds like. It adds hits to the sound. You can hear it there. So I'll overemphasize these so you can hear it more clearly. So if I want to find a balance between these sounds. Now, say I turn this off. I miss it. I really do. I love that extra noise, you know. If your sound is too clean, I don't know, it's weird. I'm just not used to it at all. You know, life has noise. Life isn't clean. It's got noise, it's got grit. And I think it's nice when your music has that as well. Clearly not right across the board. It depends on what you're doing, but this is really nice. Okay, so now that we know what everything does here, pretty much, other than edge, so again, that's the tone of the tape noise. So it's nearly like a filter, so you're getting lower tones or higher tones here on the hiss, or the noise, I should say. And then next up we have duck. Basically what this does is this makes the final noise audible only when audio passes through. So you can hear that ducking out every now and again. And that's because it only is only, if I turn this off, it's constant. But now it isn't, because it's only working when it receives a signal. Now I've got some things on here in the background, that's why it's knocking on every now and again, just so you know. Okay, so we know what everything does in there, and at the bottom of this window that you have is kind of showing you what noise is being added to your signal. It's just to help you visualize what's happening, and that's a nice touch. So let's move on then to wobble, and I'm going to use wobble on one of the other sounds, right? So I'm going to just take it off the master here a wee second, and let's have a listen to. Okay, let's pop it in here, color. And what I want to do is add it to this sound. Now, it's too much at the minute. Okay, so what I'm adjusting here is it's pitch fluctuations, essentially, right? It's tape wobble. So think of a tape, and if it wobbles a wee bit, you get pitch variations. So it sounds like if you're kind of slightly pitching up and down over time. Okay, and that's basically what this is doing. And you get two rates. So you've got your you get rate 1, rate 2. It's the same thing. You just get two different options, so you can kind of double up on these. And this window at the bottom is showing you that as well. Okay, it's showing you what your rate looks like, which is good. It's nice to have that feedback. Then you have depth, which is the depth of the rate. So it's how big a cycle is going through here, right? So you can clearly hear that more. If I take the depth down, you know it's not as much now. Okay, you're not applying as much of that wobble as you were, because it's following this line. So the rate is the speed, how many cycles there is per second, just like how an LFO or an oscillator works in that instance, you know. And then you have depth, which is how, you know, what's the highest and the lowest peaks. You know, how wide is that waveform there, and the wider it is down here in this box, the more impact that's going to have on your sound. So just be aware of that. Smaller amounts usually work better, so just be aware of that. Okay, so let's look at Flutter. Flutter adds another characteristic tape sound. So again, Flutter, it's pitch flutters, it's pitch fluctuations essentially, and so this is all tied together. It's very, very similar things. Okay, so now we have an idea what vinyl and wobble is. I'm gonna just take that. Actually, I'm gonna keep wobble on there a wee second, and I'm gonna go back on now and turn this on. Okay, now so I'm back on the master track here now again. So I'm going to use the master track to kind of show you what else this thing does. So let's look at phase. Essentially, what phase is, well, if you've ever used any phase cancellation or you know, anything to fix the phase of your sound, you'll know what this is. It's the same thing. Essentially, you get your utility, and what you can do, I'm going to just turn this off a wee second. It might be better to show you this with one sound. Okay, let's do it with this. So piano, I'm going to pop on utility here. Now this is a separate thing, but it's to help you understand what this is. So this is mono. And what you can do is you can reverse the phase of your music. If you get two waveforms that are very, very similar, or identical, one can cancel the other out. So if you flip the phase of one, it means that one sound isn't cancelling out the other. That's as much as I want to say about it at the minute. So what you can do is you can align or misalign the phase of these waveforms by using the phase in color. Okay, so let's try it out and see. So that's without it, that's with it. Depending on what you're doing, this can make a massive difference or hardly any difference at all. There was a track that I was working on earlier, and the difference was incredible with phase selected. So there was a phasing issue there, and I didn't actually hear it, but as soon as I pressed phase, everything just kind of glued together, and the track just sounded twice as good as it did. Okay, so the amount of the phase, so you can basically adjust the amount here and the angle. So if I move around these amounts, you should be able to hear that. Sometimes it can sound very, very weird, so I don't want to mess with it too much, but take it from me, that's worth trying every time you use this. Next up then we have drive. So drive is basically raw distortion. So if you want to add distortion to your sound, you can do that here. What I'm going to do actually is I'm going to open up another track, and let's try something that has drums in it. And basically I want to show you what you can do with this with drums. So there's a drum bus already, so you can use that of course as well. If I got the drum selected in here, I think I do. Okay, right, there we go. Right, so let's bring some color in. Now there's distortion already on these drums as well. I just want to point that out. So let's take off the vinyl noise. Don't want the wobble either. That'll take a wee bit of drive. Maybe I want a wee bit of this. Bit of hiss, changing the age of the sound. So obviously the older it is, the worse it normally sounds. Okay, you can hear the difference in the phase there. So that just tightens the sound right up. You can go stereo and mono as well. I like that. I really like the mono version actually. Very nice. Can soften the drive. Okay, so let's turn this off. Alright, so there you go. Slight difference. So it depends on how you use this, but yeah, so we were talking about the drive. So this gives you raw distortion. Okay, just play that again, just a little bit for a while. And that's the on-off for the drive. So quite a lot of the sound's coming from that. If it's too much, you can add, that's raw now, that's raw distortion. But if I want to soften that a wee bit, I can add the soften button, and it gives us a much softer distortion. We also have a limiter down here, so if I click the limiter, that just makes sure that this audio effect doesn't get out of hand, and it doesn't overshoot essentially or peak. So after the drive, we also have an EQ. It's a 3-band EQ, so you've got low, mids and highs. You can adjust your cutoff here with these as well. You've got a Q adjust as well for the mids. So yeah, you can, if you want a wee bit more low, mids or highs, you can add it here essentially. And that's as much as there is to say about that. This is your output gain, so if you want the gain stage, if this isn't a chain along with a lot of other things, you'll want to maybe increase or decrease the output, so that'll do that there. You've got a mono, stereo, switch as well. So if you want to hear this in mono, pop it in mono, and equally if you want to have it in stereo, you click it again. So stereo is shown here. You've got dry and wet like everything else, and you also have a meter here. Just be aware of that meter. You know, you don't want to be clipping, you don't want to be going above 0 here. You probably want to give yourself more headroom than what I've given myself here, but that's just to give you an idea. So that's there to be used, and you know, it is important to use it and make sure that you gain stage your music. So that is pretty much color. I think it's fantastic, and you can use it in a number of different ways, and I've no doubt if you like distortion or grit or noise in your sound, it will come in handy for you. So hopefully you enjoyed that, and I'm going to do loads more tutorials on the Max for Live devices that's within Ableton, because there's so many of them, and I will see you in the next one. Cheers.